This is a follow-up to my previous video, and a couple of you asked about business analysis. Well, business analysis encompasses a huge, broad variety of information, and it would be impossible for me to sit here and cover every aspect of business analysis. So what I'd like to do is give you a couple of real-life examples that I've used to track and analyze my business, and ultimately what we're looking for is we're looking to create a lean business or a more efficient business. So I hope this helps you guys and gives you a better understanding of business analysis and what I do in my businesses. And then we'll go through an actual theoretical example on how it can help us make decisions. So first, we're going to take a look at a business analysis tool that I created in Google Sheets. This was to run my t-shirt business. Everything in here I have pre-calculated out. So if you look here, there's a formula for exactly how much chemicals I use for every single t-shirt. And this is clearly 27 cents for cleaning chemicals, 48 cents for emulsifiers, and 2 cents for towels. So I use that to calculate out my actual chemical costs. And then here I'd input the actual t-shirt body costs. I'd put in the quantity, how many I'm actually printing, how much printer ink I use, 9 cents to actually print out the transparencies. And I guess the ultimate idea of this is to figure out how do we get this information, right? And really what I did was, over the course of a year, I weighed everything before I started. I did my processes, and then I weighed it again, and I calculated out how much of a specific product I used. Then I would calculate the cost based off of that. So that's how I got these numbers. So by doing this, I don't have to guess what I'm going to be spending on my overhead, right? Overhead's super important in business. We need to understand our overhead, so that way we can figure out how much we're going to be ultimately making for the company and for our employees. So this is just an example of screen printing that I used to run. Here's another example of down here for car detailing. So I took my average amount of consumables. There's a consumables tab, and I would track how much I used per car. How many towels did I use? How many white scrubbers did I use, and how much does a white scrubber cost? And this would total everything up. And what I was trying to do is figure out at this time how much I made per hour. So I used all of this information on the consumables, maintenance costs, how far was it to drive, because it's a mobile car detailing. It's also a waterless car detailing. And if it was 4 miles, I had to calculate for gas. I had to calculate for my maintenance costs, which are 0.6 or 60 cents a mile. Yeah, so I did that with cars. I also did that with boats. So boats clearly use different kind of product. And down here, I'd make little notes and say, hey, this was extremely dirty. This was the size. I have other notes in a different location. And then you can see on this job, I ended up making $30 an hour. Here I made $34 an hour on engine detailing. Again, totally different set of materials that I used, went into it, counted everything, and it spit out as soon as I did the inputs, it spit out the price per hour. So engine detailing's $44 an hour, and SUVs were $48 an hour. So I can clearly see that, if I wanted to get into this business full time, that doing engine detailing and SUVs are where all the money is at. So that's just a quick example of some things I used in the past. Now let's take a look at how we can use business analysis in our decision-making abilities. So what we did was went and looked at every single military base and calculated the average price of properties and the average square foot. And then we ran an analysis on this. And what we want to try to find out is the average price of a home directly corollary to the price per square foot? Well, how do we do that? And we do that using the data analysis tab. Here you can see an actual chart. For the chart, we went in here and did a scatter chart and edited it to give us an actual linear regression, as well as our R-squared value. And we'll talk about R-squared. So how do we come up with these R-squared values? Well, what we'll do is we'll go into data and we'll go into data analysis. And here you actually have a regression. And what we'll come up with is ultimately a linear regression. Now, we're not going to get into this a whole lot, just simply due to time, but we'll give you some basics and you can make a decision for yourself on how you want to use this. So my Y range based on this chart is going to be the value of the houses. And I select that data range. And my X range is going to be the average price per square foot. And then we're going to, you can add labels or you can select an output range. Now I've already gone ahead and done this. So we'll go over to that tab and kind of explain what we're looking at. So this is the summary of the output. And what this gives us is a R-squared value. And the R-squared value tells us how well our data fit together. And it's saying that at least with the data set that we have here, the price per square foot will increase with the average price of the home. And the accuracy of predicting this data is 76.5%. We also want to see our standard error. So if we wanted to calculate a price based on square footage, then we need to know what our standard error is. And we'll take a look at that here on this chart. Our error is the distance between this point, our actual data, and this projected line. And you can see some of them are below, some of them are dead on. So if we wanted to calculate how much would a house at 150 square feet actually cost on average, it would be about $275,000, because that's about where that line is at. Now, with your standard error, you're 3,000 something, 39,000 above and below that line. So that gives you kind of your range. That will be, between this range and that range. Now you can actually calculate that out using this linear equation here in order to determine what the range would be, and then you could use this standard error to calculate your actual prices. Now, how would I use this in, let's say, a drop shipment business, right? I would use this analysis as what I would do is I would take the price that I spent on marketing per week and compare that to the total amount of sales that I had. And I would track it week after week. And what I would do is increase it. Let's say the first week $7, then I would increase it by $3. So now next week is $10, and let's see if sales increase. What I'd do is track that data for a total of 20 plus weeks, so that way you get a good actual data set, and then you run your analysis, and then you could ultimately project out. And we'll just show you an example. I wish I would have done this for drop shipment, but let's say that this is the total spent on marketing and this is the total sales, and you wanted to know how much you would make in theory if you spent $300 on marketing per week. And follow up the line, you could put it into your linear equation and get an actual number, but it looks somewhere around $400,000 in sales. And that is what businesses do to project out how much they're going to spend. So I hope this helps. I hope I didn't jump around too much. And yeah, thank you very much.